We are talking Trident killers. Not just Trident killers though, guys, the best Trident killers in the game. So this is one you're not going to want to miss. Did you know that 93% of our viewers are not subscribed? If that's you, why not go ahead and subscribe? It is free and you will be kept up to date with all the videos that we do here. And you know, you can always unsubscribe later. Okay then guys, let's get right on into it. Let's talk about the very first Trident killer, which is this one here. It's a very simple design, and I'm going to walk you through how this one works and all that kind of good stuff. Now it's workable, it's functional, it does work as a Trident killer, but it's not my preferred design. It's definitely not one that I actually would build in my world. So let's go take a look at it, right? So essentially we've got the on and off switch here. Let me just jump up here. In creative, so we can see that here it's basically a 2-piston job, so you get a very narrow kind of kill chamber. Basically it requires redstone to wrap around and repeaters to basically function, and when you turn it on, basically it just pushes these 2 pistons side by side, therefore pushing the Trident across and basically moving it into the mobs and kills the mobs. So it's very, very simple design. It's not the most effective, it's quite slow, and you know, it is actually reasonably expensive. It's on the cheaper side, I guess, compared to some of the others, but you know, it does require a couple of observers, a couple of pistons, a couple of repeaters, some redstone dust, and obviously a switch, a lever there. So for the most part it's quite functional, but it's definitely not my preferred. It's definitely on the lower end of the spectrum. So this is the first one. It's quite a simple design, so I'll show you how to make this, right? So start off with what we'll do is we're just going to build it here. We're going to go 4 in a row, just like so, okay? And then we're going to come across with 1 just here, okay, and then just come back around. So you end up with this kind of U shape. Okay, we'll just fill that in. Then we'll grab a piston. We'll put a piston on the end here. We'll put a piston on the end here. Okay, so we end up with this area. We'll then grab our observers, and our observer should go here, and an observer should go right here as well. And then we can go ahead and just grab any solid block and basically just fill these gaps here. Okay, so we end up with this, and obviously for keeping it really simple, we should also just go ahead and just extend it. So now we've kind of got our kill chamber, and then of course we just want to wrap around a couple of blocks coming from here, just like so. One of these will have the lever on it, then we come around just to our piston here. We'll do the same on this side. We don't need two leathers though, so we only need 1. What we'll then do is we'll go ahead and grab hold of our repeater. We'll go put a repeater there, and we'll put a repeater just on this side as well. Okay, we can mess around with the ticks if we wanted to. I think I've actually left these as a 2 tick and a 1 tick, so we'll just go ahead and just put a tick on there. Okay, so then what we're going to do is we're just going to come over here, we're going to put a lever, and then we're going to just connect all this up with redstone dust. Okay, a very, very simple design. It's not overly complicated to build, and then basically you can go ahead, flick the switch, and flick it down again. Can we go there? There you go. You can see how it's now functioning. Okay, you might want to mess around with the ticks until they actually function a little bit clearer, but it's quite a simple design and there isn't too much to it. So let's move on to the next one. This is an interesting one. This is again not one that I would want to do myself, but again it's a little bit more compact. It requires, say compact, it's not as compact as that, but this one requires 4 pistons. Okay, it requires 4 observers, it requires 4 redstone torches, and a lever. Okay, so again a very, very simple design. You turn this on and basically it goes around in a pattern, and this one's actually quite fast. Okay, so this actually works really, really well, pushes the Trident around in a circle here, killing any mobs. Now obviously with this we get an extension to the kill chamber, which basically means you can get more mobs in there, so this one becomes a little bit more efficient. However, because we have these torches in the corner, this becomes very, very inefficient in terms of some mobs that can basically glitch out of this kill chamber. So not the best one. It's not one that I would use in my world, but it is a functional you know, Trident killer. Okay, so it does work. Now I can show you how to make this. It's a very, very simple 4x4 grid. Okay, so we go 4, we come 4 down there as well, and we just extend this out. Now obviously with all of my designs here, I would make the assumption that we've kind of got some kind of collection system down here. Okay, but I'm just going to show you it where's a standard kind of move. Okay, so the next thing that we want to do is we want to grab our pistons, and we're going to put our pistons in a very specific place. Okay, so we're going to put our pistons 1 right here, one right here, one right here, and one right here. Okay, so that basically will end up looking just like this from up above. Okay, so we end up with our pistons in very, very specific locations. Then the next thing we want to do is grab our observers. Now our observers have to be placed down just so that the face of the observer is facing away from the piston. Okay, so we can either put the observers down first, or we can put the pistons down first, whatever's easier. I'm just going to pop it like this. Okay, so we've got the face facing away from the piston. The next thing we want to do is we want to grab our redstone torches. We're going to put a torch on top, on the side, sorry, of all of these pistons, and they'll activate as we go around. And you can see it starts right away. It starts. So what we then want to do is go ahead and put a lever here, turn it off, and that will stop the Trident killer. Turn it on, and that will start the Trident killer, and it will go around in a circle. So very, very easy, simple design, but again, not one that I would use in the world, because you have this issue with potentially glitching out of the system. Okay, I would avoid this one, and I probably would avoid this one as well. Instead, I would focus in on this one. Now, this one, in my opinion, would be the best Trident killer. Now, obviously, we'd have to build this down into the earth a little bit, because it is a relatively tall one. However, this particular Trident killer is very, very good and very efficient, very effective as well. Okay, obviously from a maintenance side, it becomes a little bit more problematic, because essentially it's not as easy accessible as these ones, but essentially very, very good. So this actually requires again 4 pistons, okay, 4 repeaters, 4 observers, and 1 dropper. Okay, we can turn this on, and you can see it moves around. Now with this, it's actually a little bit slower than this one over here, right? So this one's actually quite fast, and then this might actually cause you lag on your world, whereas this one, because we can control the ticks, this one's a little bit slower, causes less lag. So really, really effective, and again, it has a really good job at taking care of those mobs when they fall down. You end up with the 4x4 grid, and it's a very, very simple build. So let's go ahead and show you how to build this one. So we're going to start things off with our 4x4 grid again. Okay, so very, very straightforward, very, very simple. Nothing much to it, and again, you might have your collection system down here, but I'm not going to show you that. It's entirely up to you how you want to do those things. Okay, so we're going to have our starting position here of 4 blocks like this. Okay, then we're going to go ahead and throw in our pistons. Pretty straightforward stuff, again looking very much similar to what we've got here. Now the difference here is that we are going to build up with solid blocks in between all of these pistons. Okay, we're not going to put anything else down there. We're going to keep this nice and contained. Okay, then the next thing that we want to do is basically come up and put an observer. Again, we want the observer to be facing away from our piston, which means basically if you're looking at the piston from this angle here, or standing on it, you want to see the side that has 2 blocks, and you want to put an observer there, so the face is facing away from this particular piston. So again, we drop it here, oh, just here, if I can actually get that on there, right there, and then this one just over here. Okay, so we end up with this. Now here's where we have the option. This one block here at the front can be removed, okay, and we can then go ahead and put a trapdoor down here. So I'll just go ahead and grab one of these. So what we do with the trapdoor is we put a trapdoor just there. That prevents all the baby mobs from falling out, and basically allows you to, you know, service this. So you could throw new tridents in if you need to. You can sort out any issues. You can collect XP, etc., and those mobs are not going to come out. Again, you might want to build up a couple of layers of buffer around this, but essentially that's one extra thing that you might want to do that I did not do in this particular model. Okay, so the next thing we want to do once we have this here is we want to take one solid block. Okay, and this solid block is going to go on top of the pistons. Okay, so we're going to do that right like so. Okay, then we end up with this system here where we've got each corner available. Okay, the next thing we want to do is we want to grab hold of a dropper. Okay, and the dropper is going to go right there, and then we're going to put we're going to put a lever right on top of it and then flick it down. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to come over to each of these corners, okay, with the face of the observer. Then we're going to go ahead and put on this corner with the 2 areas just facing that way, and make sure this is facing the correct direction. Okay, and we're going to put that on 2 ticks. Okay, so this repeater must face away from the build, and it has to be on 2 ticks. Over this side as well, we're going to do the same thing. we can either come up here and just drop it like this, put 2 on there, so 2 ticks as well. What we don't want to do is we don't want it to face that way, okay? It has to face away. And then we're going to put that one on just a single tick, okay? So what we end up with is a 2 tick over in this corner, okay? So 2 tick in the top corner, 2 ticks in the left-hand corner, and then down in this bottom left-hand side, we want a single tick. Now we can flick the lever on, and we have our working Trident killer. And again, from down here, we can obviously service this if we wanted to and collect all of the XP that we need as well. So a really straightforward build, doesn't really take too much. And this is the preferred one. This is the one I tend to use a fair amount. If I do not actually require to collect the loot, for example, if I'm using it for an XP farm, this is great. I don't have to worry about the drops and things like that. Now, this is the one that I use an awful lot, okay? This is the one that I prefer to use. This is one that I used in the creeper farm, for example. It's exactly the same design as that, but with a couple of alterations, okay? And I had problems with this model in the creeper farm because the creeper somehow managed to get out and blow up the entire farm. Whereas with this one, I can stay far enough away that the creeper can't blow up with me standing too close. And so this is going to be my preferred one. And obviously I have a collection system wherever this water goes, for example. Okay, so to build this is very, very straightforward. We actually have a waterlogged stair at the back here and bring in the water down. We could also waterlog that piston, but if we do that, we're going to need to make sure that we have a lot more buffer and an additional kind of blocks around the side. So I'm going to show you how to do this in a second, and obviously we're using ice in the middle there, okay? So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to find some ice, which I think is over here. I'm going to take some, you can use any ice for this. I'm just going to take some blue ice though, and I'm just going to get rid of the redstone because I do not need that. Okay. I'm going to build it over here, so it's going to be side by side. We're going to start with a 4x4 grid, just like we did with the last Trident killer, okay? So we just start 4x4, and we're going to fill this entire thing in, with the exception of those 4 there, they will be ice, okay? So we're going to have ice in there. Then we want to grab hold of our pistons, just like we did before. We'll put those in exactly the same locations as we did as well, okay? So nothing unusual about that. That's exactly as we have done previously, and you'd end up with something that looks like this. We're then going to take our solid blocks, doesn't really matter which, and we're just going to put them in here all the way around. Now, when I build this, I always put this one here. I remove it later if I wanted to. Same with this one over this side as well. This will potentially be replaced with a stair later. Okay, so once we have this, the next thing we want to do is we want to grab hold of our observers, and just like we did before, we're going to go ahead and basically put our observer here, making sure that the face is facing away from this piston. Okay, so when we drop this around and we go all the way around here with our observers, okay, so they're all facing away. We then grab our solid block, we put one on top of each piston, just like so. And then of course we go ahead and grab our dropper. Our dropper goes on basically in front of this observer just here, and we grab hold of our lever. We put the lever on there, just turn it down, and then come over to each of these areas. First corner, top right, is going to be on 2 ticks. Top left is going to be on 2 ticks, and down here in the bottom corner is on 1 tick. Okay, now is our Trident killer activated, and we should just be able to turn that on.
So much later that the old narrator got tired of waiting, and they had to hire a new one.
Yeah, so over here, this one has to be facing away, so we'll put that onto 2 ticks there. So I've just noticed that we didn't have that correctly. So very important that this one faces away, this one faces that way, and this one faces that way. Okay, so those repeaters have to be in the correct locations. When we turn this on now, we get a Trident killer that goes all the way around without any issues. Now we're going to make some modifications. So essentially we've built is this Trident killer just here. So the first thing that we want to do is basically remove this block just here. Okay, we're going to grab that trapdoor, we're going to put the trapdoor right on there. We're then going to come inside of our build, and we're going to remove this block right here. And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and find some stairs. We're going to come over, we're just going to expand, we're just going to find any stair we want, doesn't really matter. I'm going to take just some stairs here, and we're going to put one right in there. We're then going to grab our water, and we're going to waterlog that one stair. You can see that the water is automatically flowing, and it will flow to this particular area. We can then go ahead and remove this block here, but before we go ahead and actually do anything else, we're going to go ahead and extend this right the way down. Okay, and we're going to bring it all the way over here, and then we're going to grab another bucket of water, and we're going to put it right there. This is then going to flow all the way down to our end of our area, and basically that is our Trident killer sorted. So the water inside here is going to basically push all of the drops down to this water source here, which is then going to carry it down to our collection system. Then, of course, inside here we would throw a impaling 5 trident. Okay, that's going to kill the mobs most effectively, and it's going to be a fantastic way to basically ensure that you kill them fast, efficiently, and collect all of the drops and, of course, any XP that you need. All of the which will flow all the way down here. So if you were collecting XP from this creeper farm, for example, you basically just stand at the end. Maybe you have a chest and a dropper or something down here. Essentially all of the XP, all of the items are going to get delivered to you, and you do not have to worry about anything else. Of course, all of these builds can have it can be extended out, as we did with the creeper farm, for example. We would have basically extended all of this up on the outside edge, as well as the inside edge, just to protect all of the build. We wouldn't want to have a creeper or have some mobs essentially just come and glitch out of the build. So we would go ahead and just basically build a bit of a barrier all the way around to prevent some of those larger mobs from potentially glitching out. Now, some obviously will still be able to, so you know, you have to kind of take that with a pinch of salt and kind of adjust the model accordingly to your requirements. But for essentially, you know, we'll look at it like this. We'll then go ahead and basically just encase all of these areas as well. And then if I go ahead and just grab some glass, I prefer to use black stained glass, but basically what I would tend to do, specifically on the mob drops, is basically just build up a bit of a chute upwards here, for being able to see all of those mobs kind of come into the kill chamber, etc. I'm not going to build the whole thing, but you kind of get the idea. Once you have this done, it's basically a really efficient and effective trident killer. Now, if you need to ever do anything, you can just come up here, you can drop another trident in and all that kind of stuff. So really, really effective, and is the best trident killer I've found in the game so far. And that's it, guys, the best trident killer in the game so far as I am aware. Let me know what you think in the comments down below, and if you did find this useful, if you like the content, hit the like button, make sure you're subscribed, and you will not miss another update here at the Tech Head and the BlockHead's realm. Guys, until next time.